is the sandstone church that springs from the 1800s, I believe, built by convicts. This was for apparently the more elite of the community, not for the convicts who had their own separate church. And interestingly and enjoyably, when I got back this evening, someone was in there practicing on the organ, so that was kind of neat. But everything here is kind of old and funky, and many things are. I mean, there's a new building there. This backpacker is an old building and kind of run down on the inside. Interesting piece of architecture there. You wonder if anybody ever gets up there and looks out. Looks like it might be a pretty view. Well, it's Thursday morning, and I'm sitting in the little park that is on Elizabeth Street in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. And it's probably the 9th of February 2005. There's a gathering of people over here. Looks like, don't know what it is, but formal enough that they're wearing suits, and they have coffee laid out nicely, and a lovely setting for a little meeting. Particularly nice park, I'm sure, in the hot summer with these huge shade trees. And here are the world scavengers, seagulls. Just after 8 o'clock. Some people still looks like straggling on to work. But a nice place to get a pastry over there in that bakery, and then come over here and sit for a few minutes before I get started. I want to go to the Marine Museum, which is down the block a piece, and then go up to the top of Mount Wellington, which overlooks Hobart. Friday begins the wooden boat show here in Hobart. And these are some of the boats that will appear, of course. This is a local boat, apparently, the May Queen. But there, over there, you can see how that looks like some kind of a trawler. And then a sailing boat that looks half yacht, half sailing boat. And then probably a earlier kind of wooden boat. I don't know anything about them. And there's a beautiful sloop over there. Always sleek in their look. Elegant. Another boat. This is just a prelude to what we'll do on Saturday when I come over and look at all of them. Ironically, yesterday we rode on a cement boat. The ferry that goes up to Cadbury Chocolate Company has a cement hull, which I've seen before in yachts, but never homemade ones normally, but didn't know they made them for that kind of a boat. This is an interesting kind of bridge, a raising bridge. This huge pile of cement up here counterbalances the bridge itself, I guess, and with motors and gears that you see up in there, it lifts the bridge, pivoting it on that axle there into the air and out of the way of this small channel to let these big boats in and out. This is a big crane for lifting boats and so forth, I'm sure. But what's fascinating to me is look at the size of the nuts on those bolts. How do you turn those things? They must be 8 inches across, that one. Does one man do it? 2 man? How long the lever? It's a neat looking 2-master over there. This is a tribute to an Australian named Bernacchi, who, interestingly enough, grew up on Maria Island, which was the convict island in Strawn. And this probably memorializes the moment when he left from this point to go to Antarctica to be the first Australian to overnight there, I guess. The boat was the Southern Cross, but a very, very nice tribute. Beautiful little idea. Beats the hell out of a statue or a slab of rock with some slab of bronze on it. It does something intelligent too, in my opinion. It gives a description, some information about something. This building and the buildings to the right that I'll pan through were once the Henry Jones and Company jam, fruit jam making buildings and factories. He used the motto IXL, which stood for IXL. Very, very good one in our times. Appropriate at any time. And the last building was this one, in 1903. Eventually, after 1963, when his partner gave up the business, sometime after that, the buildings were stripped and became the art center for Hobart. Duh. Looks like a pretty incredibly dangerous job amongst all those panicked whales. Immortality of sorts. Where I am standing is near Hunter's Island, which actually is buried underneath the jam producing buildings that are earlier in this video. But this is Hunter Island, near where I'm standing, within a few hundred feet. And when it was first, this was what it looked like initially, apparently, when Colonel Collins landed here with 262 men, 187 of which were convicts. And the most gruesome thing they did here that's recorded is that when people would try to escape or do other terrible things for which they were then hung, they were hung from the gibbet until literally the flesh rotted off of them as a warning to others. But it became so repugnant to the new arrivals that they discouraged and stopped that practice. And a little bit later on they built a little quay from the mainland to the island. This is the inside of those buildings. It has now been converted to shops up front or art galleries, and then in the back here, in the middle part, the remaining part, it retains a lot of the artifacts from that production line, which are fascinating to look at and imagine what they were like and the noise level that existed here, particularly after you've spent the day at Cadbury and see the modern equivalent of this.